Hello, and welcome back to The Birth of Reason. My name is Rahel Kabada, and in this episode, Belle Hahn will be our young artist. She usually plays the role of host, but today I have the honor of leading you through our environmental episode. I'm excited to show you her work in the regeneration of our planet. This week's episode will also feature Stop Trashing Our Planet, a provocative piece by Judi Weisbart. Every day, species are vanishing from this planet. This must stop, or the next will be us.
Hello. We're back. We're back in the world. Yep, the World Series. The Birth of Reason. Here I am, Judi Weisbart, artist and activist, and today we're going to talk about trashing the planet. Sorry. I think it's time to talk about the environment. It's a little frightening, but I'll explain the sculpture and have a little conversation with you about what's going on. Some of you really know because you're actually living it. But how did we get there? Oh well. When we destroy the place that we live, we no longer have a home. So our lack of consciousness is going to be the end of humanity if we don't look at what's going on, guys. So this sculpture was made by using what ultimately is the reason that we're in this place, which is a 55-gallon oil tank. Those big oil things that you see everywhere, that's what the base of this piece is. All over it has all of the beware signs, depending on what it is. It even has a radioactive one. I put that on because we better beware of that also, having worked very hard to try and close a local place for me, which was Diablo Canyon Nuclear Power Plant. Talk more about that in a minute. At this point, though, the piece is the oil tank, and on top of it is a small trash can, and in the trash can is our earth and other products like plastics. And there's actually one of those, the connector for the 6 Coke cans. So one of those that kill all the dolphins in the world. Not really. We kill them in other ways too, but that helps. And the plastic's not good. So I have actually a fake dolphin hanging off of it like this. It's all very depressing. But it talks about what the problems are. But I must say, and I haven't been saying it in all of these conversations that we've been having, I hope to also tell you the answers to the problem. So I'm not just showing the problem in the sculpture, but I'm actually giving you answers. So on this one, yes, all of these problems, like my favorite was, plastic bottles. Like, seriously, couldn't you come up with a better idea? Silly. Plastic bottles for water makes no sense. But once again, we've been doing it for a long time and we've kind of messed up the planet. However, there are answers like recycling, which, by the way, started in Santa Barbara, I believe. Recycling is important. But there's so many other actions that we can do that are important. Like, I don't think I have bought new clothes in 10 years. Everything that I own is from a thrift shop or online from a thrift shop. I love ThredUp. ThredUp's the best, ladies, if you don't know about it. It's an online thrift shop. You go through, you tell them your size, the color you want, you can see it, and they send it to you. You don't have to leave home. And you save thousands of gallons of water by what it costs to build not just the manufacturing plants, not just the child labor, not just the actual plastic that it's being made out of, but we can actually recycle. We can recycle our clothing. We can recycle our furniture. What I'm sitting in right now, someone else owned these sofas. I went online to my local Craigslist and said, I want 2 matching sofas. And it took me about 6 months to find them. But I got 2 sofas that are gorgeous for $800, $400 each. And they were literally $4,000 a piece when she bought them. They didn't like them anymore. We're crazy. We are nuts. So, the fact that human beings think that new is better, nuts. The fact that human beings think that using plastic to put water in, nuts. The fact that human beings don't get that we are killing ourselves, not someone else. They're not coming from another planet. It's us. So, this sculpture speaks to that. We have alternative ways to renew our world. Most of them are already here. Just stop using more crap and doing more nonsense that doesn't need to be done, and buy things that are made out of wood. That's good. But don't take down the rainforest, because you know what? We got enough wood. And if you take down the old, beautiful, beautiful farmhouses that no longer people want and use that wood to do your floors, you just saved the planet. There's a lot of ways to do it. You get to look at how it is. You are coming to this show to be inspired. Maybe this is your inspiration. Maybe saving our planet is your inspiration. If it is, I want you to go to the organizations that we'll talk about later. I want you to think about in your town how you can best harvest that which already exists and reuse it. That's what this whole show is about. I have made an entire art show out of found objects. I have either made the little bricks that were there out of clay, or I found it in the dump, or I've been handed something, or I've reused it because it was in the thrift store. You don't have to buy new to make great art, to have great homes, to wear beautiful clothes. It's all your choice. So I give you that as my little speech of today. We do not need to trash the planet more, and you do have choices. So come back and talk to me again soon. Write me comments. Tell me what you think. Give me ideas. Come up with another sculpture. I'm here for you. I'm so excited that we're here together. I really am. It just brings my heart to a place of inspiration that all of you are giving me. So, like I say about community, you are giving me a reaction to what I'm giving you so that you can react to it. And that's how it works. That's how we make a difference. That's how we make beauty. That's how we make art. Let's be social artists. Let's change society for the better. Thanks for coming again. See you next time. Hi, everyone. So today I'm really excited because I get to interview my friend Belle Hahn and my partner in The Birth of Reason. So unlike every other show where we have a new person and Belle is interviewing or I'm interviewing, this time we get to be together. So I don't think they've actually seen us together until now.
Here we are.
So welcome everyone to learning a little bit more about my dear friend Belle Hahn. This amazing painting that's behind us is one of Belle's works. And Belle, tell me what it is about the work that you're doing now that speaks to the planet and speaks to you through a paintbrush.
So these paintings, there's a collection. It was my first show, maybe 2 years ago, but I knew that they weren't for sale. I knew that they were a body of work that they weren't ready to be released, but my mother, we're in my mother's home, was really excited and honored to have them because she always encouraged me to paint as a little girl, but I had resistance around it in that I grew up with a world-renowned art dealer father and excellent, masterpieces on the walls, and it was overwhelming to imagine touching that. But I had such a calling to nature always as a little girl that I would sit with the flowers and listen to the plants and connect deeply. And so before this body of work started, my partner and I started a pranic healing class together. And we started meditating every day, and she taught us this twin hearts meditation. And it's all this pranic healing where you're sending energy through your body, and I would do these visualizations, and I just started to see imagery of the mycelium network, which I'd watched Fantastic Fungi. I've shared this story with you before, but it was a life changer to see that the web underground not only connected us all and was connected under the ground, but that we were the voices for the earth to express their messages. The mycelium network, the trees, the heart of the earth. And I just would get these visions, and I couldn't not do it. I just saw canvases. I knew I needed to start. So my first piece, which kind of started a twin heart sort of movement for my sister and I, this twin heart meditation, became this place also where we were in philanthropic gestures matching each other with our twin hearts. So the first piece was the one heart. When I would close my eyes, I would see the third eye drop into the center of the heart. And when I saw that, I understood that if we could actually see from our heart with compassion, it would diffuse the judgment that's keeping us separate. Then threads, like golden threads, which you'll see in most of my work, start to, this body of work, come from that first piece was from the heart, but it was also, if you look at it, it's also the spider, because it's the center with 8 legs coming. There's 4 on that side and 4 on that side that create sort of this regeneration of what I see as Eden remembered, in the way that if we lived for the earth and we lived without the shame that was then cast that kept us separate with all of these religions, that we could go back to the center of the heart, which is the center of the earth, which there's no separation. And so they're also a nod to my mother and to Mother Earth. And that's why it's just such a privilege to share them with you today.
This is why I'm interviewing you. You're the easiest interview ever because you actually don't need any questions. I think it's so interesting when we have a passion, whatever that passion may be. You know, what you and I are trying to do in this show, I believe, is to connect all the passions for all the people around the world about all the things they may have a passion for. So this art is really speaking to your passion. And I think that that's exciting because art
Completely.
speaks to something that's deeper than the actual visual art. What does that speak to in you?
Well, first of all, again, like I said, the listening to the inner voice that is stronger than the outside one, where it's like those stories of you can't do this, to show up anyway, vulnerably, with all my heart, to a canvas, as I show up on the planet, vulnerably, maybe not knowing if it will be good or right or wrong. That's healing in itself, just to show up and meet. So when I would do each piece, a song would wake me up. It was very specific. So there's a lion one in front of us that I call the Great Spirit, because I had never heard this song in my life. And Beyonce's The Spirit from The Lion King came on. And I'm a quadruple Leo. And so I did the lion as the heart, like the heart chakra, as the face. So it was a healing for me to return to the spirit of believing that I'm colorful, I am the art, I am part of this process, but also it's a total channel from spirit, and I had no choice but to listen, both to the song and the calling, and to honestly let go. So that always, when you let go, the most healing happens.
That's beautiful.
Let go and let God.
Well, I've loved this, and I think that our conversation, we have these all the
too.
time. So putting it on camera is really quite interesting.
I think recycling is really important. And it's really important because it doesn't just all go to waste. My family and I, we recycle quite a bit. It's really cool knowing it, all doesn't just turn into a big pile under the earth.
I'd love to introduce you to our incredible human today, James Thornton, who is the founder of an international organization called ClientEarth, which uses law as the method to ensure a healthier environment for our future. His work is profound and extends to over 60 countries. He is also a poet, author, professor, and a man of consciousness.
Well, hello, James Thornton. I'm so excited to have you on our show, The Birth of Reason. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
It is. It's a pleasure to see you now. You're all the way in Oxford, England, as we have this Zoom, and I'm grateful that you're willing to do this with us. You are a lawyer, you are an author, you're a Zen Buddhist monk. You are kind of both sides of the coin. You have that mind that gets us to where we need to go in the legal area, and you also have that heart that will get us to where we need to go as human beings. So I'm grateful that you're willing to talk to us. I also know that you were the founder of ClientEarth, and
Hmm.
that's an organization that we will tell everyone about at the end of this. And I'd just like you to tell me a little bit about what brought you to creating a client Earth on this planet and what that is worldwide.
Yes, very briefly. So I worked as an environmental lawyer at a place in the United States called the Natural Resources Defense Council, and I founded the Los Angeles office of that. And what got me doing law was that I looked around when I was finishing university and wondered how I could help. I said, I want to use my life to be of service. How can I help? And I struggled to find the way. And then I thought, oh, law. There wasn't environmental law back then, but I said, law is really powerful. So if I become a lawyer, I figure it out. So I became a lawyer and then started doing environmental law in America. And then I moved to the UK for love. My husband is English and he couldn't stay in America. So love took us here. And then I looked around and I saw that there were basically no lawyers in the environmental movement in
Ah,
Europe. Uh, Very sophisticated policy work, but they weren't lawyers. That was an American invention. So I thought, oh, great, I can add this to the European environmental community, which is how ClientEarth started, and then started in London, and then quickly in Brussels and Warsaw, and then also Berlin and Madrid, and about 12 years ago in Beijing, a very important office where we now have 20 people. ClientEarth has 20 people. And then also in Tokyo, and then also the most recent and a very important office in back in America in LA, using law in a way that none of the American groups are doing it. And so it's really just it's my way of using my capacities to help.
well, that's fascinating. So, seeing that we're already on the subject of international, could you tell me a little? Because the one thing about this show is we're really trying to bring all countries together.
Mhm.
And we have in the United States these extremes. You know, we love one country and we don't like the other country. And unfortunately, propaganda helps us to believe that. So you just spoke about a country that we have a little difficulty with as a society, which is China, which I know that under social situations, because I have worked with Human Rights Watch and other things, they get definitely an F. However, I've spoken to you before, and I think the fascination to me is what they're doing for the environment. Could you give us a little information about what's going on in China?
With pleasure. So it was a big surprise to me. I mean, I'm a Western guy and I read the newspapers and we all absorb a lot of stuff about China, and a lot of it is propaganda. And to be honest, there's propaganda on both sides, you know. But I was invited in, to my surprise, to my astonishment, about 11 years ago, 12 years ago, to visit with the Supreme Court of China because they were looking at writing a law to allow Chinese environmental groups to sue companies, including those owned by the government, when they were polluting. Now, isn't that already amazing? Right. That's
Yes.
very amazing. So they invited me in. They said, we looked around the world. You're the guy we want to advise us. Please come and give us a seminar. And I said, before I give you my seminar, I just want to say that this is really great what you're doing. It's to allow people to sue like this in China. It's revolutionary. And the senior Supreme Court judge said, "Oh, Mr. Thornton," and I thought, "Oh boy, I'm already a bad guest, you know." But he said, "Mr. Thornton, revolutionary is a big word in Beijing, you know." So we laughed, and I said, "I can work with these people." And what I found out, it's a longer story, but I did a TED talk on exactly this point that people may want to go watch. Their question was, what must we do now to make sure there are healthy people here in 2,000 years with a good economy? And so we need to clean up the air, clean up the water, clean up the soil, clean up the food, and make everything sustainable. How do we do that? And then please train the prosecutors, federal prosecutors of China, to bring cases. which we did. And that's about 5 years ago with the prosecutors. And since then, they have brought 500,000 enforcement cases.
That
So
is amazing.
nobody in the West knows that. Isn't that, it's astounding, right?
Yeah, thank you. That's why we do the show, because no one in the West does know that. And we'll learn more about that in the future. What we're going to do after these shows is interview our interviewees, our incredible humans like yourself, and get more information. Unfortunately, these are short, so I'm going to go into the next thing, which I find fascinating. You are an author, and I know you write poetry, but you also are a Buddhist priest. And what does that have to do with what you do as a professor at Oxford? Tell me a little about how those two connect.
They connect completely. And for me, it's all one piece, right? So the Buddhist practice, which I've been doing for a great many years, um, makes everyone your friend and makes you concerned about everyone and everything. So that makes being an environmentalist a kind of obvious thing to do because we take a vow to save all sentient beings. It's all one practice. And in tough times, and being an environmentalist can be tough, the practice helps you keep going and opens you and opens you and opens you. It never stops.
What would you suggest those who are listening and really care about the environmental issues of today, when they feel a little hopeless
Mm.
and depressed about what's going on many levels, politically, environmentally, etc., what would you give them as a final sense of hope and of relationship to one another and to their planet and how they can make a difference?
Well, we can all make a difference. And it starts with keeping an open heart and an open mind and studying what's going on and learning what you can do. And, if you're a kid, you can bug your parents, to do more, and if you're a voter, and you should be if you're an adult, then vote for people who do something for the environment. If you have a small business or work in a big business or own a big business, every one of them can be doing environmental things. And in terms of hope, it's easy to not have hope, but my next book is all about having hope, and it's called Radical Confidence: How to Build a Better Future in the Face of Climate Change. And I know we can do it. So the future is completely open. The future is completely ours to make if we join together, open mind, open heart, learn, act, and just keep going.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you. That's an amazing ending to today's talk with you. I thank you, James, for what you're doing. I thank you for being on the planet at the same time I am. And I thank you for giving hope to all of those who are watching. I look forward to seeing you again when you come back to Los Angeles, and much love and gratitude. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judi. Thank you very much.
Lynn Twist is another voice for the environment. She speaks through the Pachamama Alliance in the Amazon rainforest. This organization looks at the issues of the environment through the eyes of the indigenous people. The programs integrate indigenous wisdom with modern knowledge to support a personal and collective transformation.
Hello, Lynn Twist.
Hello, Judi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so happy to be in this beautiful setting in Santa Barbara and be with you.
Thank you. You started by writing a book called The Soul of Money and starting the Soul of Money Institute. Just tell me a little bit about that and then how you came to what we're going to talk about today, which is Pachamama Alliance.
Well, the Soul of Money Institute really got born out of the Soul of Money book, which got born out of my privilege, really, and honor and joy of fundraising for ending world hunger for the Hunger Project. And in designing a fundraising methodology, or I'll call it an ontology, a way of being, that was not about rich people giving to poor people or people who've got everything giving to people who have nothing, that was inconsistent with the end of world hunger, which is where we wanted to fundraise from, the vision that we had and still have. So we created a fundraising philosophy, you might call, even a methodology, which you experienced in the Fundraising from the Heart workshop, where it was not about charity, but about solidarity. So co-equal partnership coming together to end world hunger. I wrote a book with the help of a collaborative writer, Teresa Barker, called The Soul of Money, because I began to see money differently rather than something we have to accumulate and devote our life to getting more of. Actually, it's this flow. And so I invented the Fundraising from the Heart workshop, and you came.
I did.
And we talked about fundraising, and that's how we met.
We keep fundraising, don't we? We as human beings often hoard things that once released give us much more joy, and that at this moment in history, and what I'm trying to do through this program is to actually say, if you give to another person in whatever way you can, money or time or energy, whatever it is, that will bring back manyfold that which you have given. So I hope that people get that from this show. So my first question for you really about Pachamama Alliance is, they are indigenous people in the middle of the Amazonian forest. So why did you make this decision to actually start this project?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll give you the short version.
Please do.
Which is actually
we don't
a little bit long. I had no relationship with the environment at that time, or the consciousness to be working on environmental issues. I was working on, human rights and empowering women primarily in conditions of hunger and poverty. And I was lucky enough to be invited to go to Guatemala to help a friend of mine with his fundraising breakdown in his organization, and I did. And during that time, I went there with a very wonderful colleague named John Perkins. And we were invited to be part of a shamanic ceremony with no medicine by a Mayan shaman named Roberto Pose. And what he conducted was a shamanic ceremony in the middle of the night, starting at midnight, with a group of 12 of us. And this man started drumming and chanting and telling us to journey. I didn't know what that meant, but everybody closed their eyes, so I did too. And his plaintive singing, whistling, drumming, called me and all of us into what I would call nothing less than an altered state of being. And the whole scene and experience was the middle of the night, midnight, starry sky, just gorgeous. And it was hypnotic, really, mesmerizing. And then after, I don't know how long, I heard this bang, 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 bang drum beat. And I realized that was the shaman calling us back from our reverie. And I remember sitting up, the fire was down to embers. And then it went around to my friend John, who was translating, and he had a vision very, very similar to mine, almost exactly the same. Wow. So the shaman completed the ritual, sent everybody back to the hotel, and met with John and I and said, this was not a normal vision. There's someone trying to reach you. You're being called. And John, who had been working in the Amazon for years, he said, Lynn, I know who they are. I know where they are. And the Achuar have told the Shuar they're ready for contact. And so they're calling for contact. We have to go. I said, I can't go to Ecuador. I work in Africa and Asia. I'm working on ending world hunger. We've got lots to do. And he said, they won't leave you alone till you come. So fast forward, eventually I surrendered. John and I took a group of 10, including ourselves, 12 of us all together, down, and John and another man named Danielle Cooperman led us into the forest. We met with the men with the orange geometric face paint and the yellow and red and black feather crowns, and that encounter was life-altering, mind-boggling, life-changing, and it began the work of the Pachamama Alliance. We started Pachamama Alliance, Bill Twist, my husband and I, with John Perkins. And so that's 30 years ago, next year. So we've been working with indigenous people of the Amazon for 30 years.
Oh, I love that.
That was my shortest version.
That was fabulous. And funnily enough, this whole program that we are now doing, called The Birth of Reason, started 30 years ago when I did my very first piece in 1995.
Woo! Really?
So my first art piece was 1995, and you start. So everything is connected.
It
just
is.
sometimes takes time for it all to come together.
Yes.
So I guess I want to ask you something that really is the purpose for this entire show. How can people get involved and learn more? What I really found fascinating on your website was to see that you have coursework, and give me a little understanding of what that all means.
Well, not only did the indigenous people we met with say we've seen in our dreams and visions that contact is inevitable, so we are initiated it before it comes to us in ways we can't control. So that was one message from them. But then the other message that they gave us at the same time, which is really powerful. And what they said was, change the dream of the modern world, because the dream of the modern world is the source of the destruction of the Amazon and other ecosystems. So that was an assignment, a mandate that was like, change the dream of the modern world. Are you kidding? Because you kind of realized what they were saying. So we went back, we thought a lot about how to support them, and it took us a while to even begin to address changing the dream of the modern world, shifting the consciousness of the human family. And so we invented a whole series of transformational, educational, crucible programs that take people through experiences at the end of which they realize they're part of the community of life. So our educational programs are very contextually aligned with that message, but they're also very specific about how to shift the way you see the world so that your way of being, the way of walking in the world is consistent with the long-term future of life. So that's Pachamama Lines in a nutshell.
Oh, I love that. Okay, well, that's wonderful. I feel like I've learned a lot. I would love to know how everyone that's watching right now can get involved. And how would you suggest that we can best move people into a place of inspiration and love and kindness at a time when little of that is shown to them?
Well, that's the question of our time, I think, really, particularly this year. I would say that there's a wonderful example from physics, I believe, that an island of coherence in a sea of chaos, even if it's small, can actually transform the whole system. And rather than fight against, I call myself a pro-activist rather than an activist for, not against. It's hard to stay pro in these times.
Difficult times.
There's a lot to be against. How to provide for each other an island of coherence, authenticity, heart, kindness, generosity, and living in communion with the natural world. Because the earth is not only speaking loudly, the climate crisis maybe is not happening to us, it's happening for us. It's a giant wake-up call. It's the mother shaking her creatures to remember their rightful role in relationship with her.
I think that we need to give people the right to choose.
Yes.
And their choice has to be in what they learn and in whom they learn it from. So I actually think that you are one of the great gifts. You are one of the incredible humans on this show, but you're one of the incredible humans in this world where you don't specifically tell people what to do. You give them a broader understanding of what is available to them. And I think today, the time I've had with you, I can honestly say it enlightened me to ways that I can make changes, and I hope that it did the same for everyone that is watching today. And I'm grateful that you were willing to give this time and your incredible wisdom. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for being such a light yourself on this planet. And I do feel that everybody has a role to play. I just think if you're alive today, it's not an accident. This is the most precious, revolutionary, revelatory, transformational time in the history of our species. And to be alive today and find your rightful role and play it with all your heart, it ennobles our lives. It makes us better people. So thank you for having me on this program.
Thank you for being on it. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. We
Bless
have
you.
more to come.
It was so wonderful to be with you for our environmental episode. We hope you will support the work of James and Lynn, our incredible humans, by going to their websites to learn more and become a volunteer, a donor, or just be inspired by the great work that is happening on this planet at this time. We can all make a difference. And we look forward to you joining the movement to awaken hearts and ignite change. See you next time. Thank you so much.